All right, friends, good morning. Time for the hands-free drive to work, because you know it'd be unsafe to touch your phone while you drive, so you can press play, keep your hands on the steering wheel, and at the same time learn and have a conversation about steering yourself through the weeds of work. I've been loving this. I've been loving doing this every morning and getting my mind right, getting my thinking straight as I drive into work, and just think again about all the things that we can do to manage ourselves well through the weeds of work. Because you know today, more than likely, nobody on a moment-by-moment basis is going to be over your shoulder telling you exactly what to do, exactly what to think. When you have an interaction with a customer or client, nobody's going to be saying, say this next, say that next. So you need to be able to make the next wise move. You need to be able to manage yourself and steer yourself through frustration, through disappointment, through all the weeds of work that often come up on a daily basis. So we're going to keep having that conversation. We've been talking about what last to least is. That's my systematic way of leading myself through the weeds of work. And we talked about how last to least, there's a confession. The way we think about work is that we have to meet needs before we get profits and incentives that come back to us. And you know, we've talked a lot about that. We talked about core traits. There's some core traits of that system. You know, one of those core traits is that we find meaning in our work, not get meaning from our work, or find meaning while we work. No, we find meaning in the work itself. We talked about that. We talked about another core trait, and that's that we have to know the difference, be able to discern the difference between watering fruit and growing fruit. And that's just that we have to know the difference between our specific actions and then the results that we want to come about from those actions. We talked about that. So here's another core trait this morning from last to least. Another core trait from last to least, our self-management system, our way to lead ourselves, steer ourselves through the weeds of work. And this is one of the core traits, and I have to remind myself of this core trait often. And this is the core trait. I have to fulfill promises before I pursue dreams. I have to fulfill promises before I pursue dreams. And I'll tell you, with me, again, constant reminder. You guys, a lot of you know this about me. I get crazy-eyed and my eyes get big and bright, and I'm thinking about whether it's in organizations that I volunteer for, or if it's in the insurance agency, or Rouse Brothers Trucking and Grading, or talking about this book. Anything that I get my brain on, and I'm involved in it. And just like you, we're pulled in a lot of different directions. Man, my eyes get big, and I think about the impact we could start to make on the people around us, and I really think about the dreams that could happen, the next steps. What are the big things that we could accomplish? And if I'm not careful, I'll get my eyes so focused on the next move that I forget to do the things that I've already promised that I would do today. I forget to do the things that really I thought about a year ago. These are today I'm living some of those dreams that I had a year ago. But with those dreams, often you make promises to people that you will do certain things, that you will show up for them. And we have to remember, I have to remind myself constantly as I lead myself through the day that I have to fulfill those promises before I go after those bigger, better dreams, whatever I think is bigger and better dreams. I have to make sure that I fulfill the promises that I made today to get to these dreams. And I'll tell you, really, when it drove home for me, one of the times when this was really just in my face, I was actually working on the book. I was writing the book, and honestly, I was thinking about the impact the book could make. This is something that really has changed the way I work, and not just changed the way that I work, but changed the way I think about it. So it's melted a lot of my frustrations, a lot of my disappointments, really changed my life around work. So I'm like, man, I want to get this to people. But as a lot of you know, we're all drawn in 1,000 different directions, and that's no different for me. You know, as far as my family, I have very strong commitments to my family. I've said this about Allie and my girls. You really can't know me unless you know them. And so I have strong commitments to my family. Our insurance agency, I'm always thinking about it. I'm always thinking about how it could grow and be better. I'm always thinking about Rouse Brothers Trucking. I'm thinking about this book. You know, just a lot of different things that we're all thinking through. And I was like, you know, with all those things going on, especially writing this book, it was difficult sometimes. It was difficult to find the time the extra time to write. And I laughed with somebody. I said, I'm going to be the only person that ever wrote a book while he was playing Go Fish. That's part. A lot of parts of this book. Just think about me as you read it. If you get the chance to read it, just think about me playing Go Fish while I write this section, because that happened a lot actually. But this particular day, I was thinking, it was a Wednesday, and I told Allie, I said, I'm going to stay at work tonight. I'm working on this book. I've got to wrap some things up with it. And I know I'm to a point where I'm getting close to the end, and I was so excited because I was like, man, I'm going to have some time, set aside a couple hours, after I close down the agency, and I'm just going to put my nose down and do some real work on this book. And it was about, probably 4:30. 5 o'clock, and I'm getting all my stuff together, getting the computer ready, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to be working on. And I get a text message from our campus pastor, James Forrester. He said, "Hey man, I'm sick. Is there any way you could fill in for me tonight teaching, at church?" And I'm like, man, I tell you, right when I got that text message, I was like, come on, man. Like I knew what I was gonna do tonight, and I knew what I was gonna work on, because I have these dreams and these big plans for what I want to pursue in the future with this book. But this is, I just literally almost text, hey man, I can't do it tonight. And then I thought about this section, and this was the section I was going to be writing, that we have to fulfill promises before we pursue dreams. And I never promised anybody I was going to write a book. It was something I wanted to do. It was something, because I know this concept, these principles have changed my work. I wanted to pass that along to somebody else. But I never promised anyone I would write a book. But I did promise James Forrester, I did promise him that he could count on me to fill in for him anytime he ever needed me at our church. And man, as I sit there and thought about that, I was like, how in the world can I sit here tonight and try to write about fulfilling promises before pursuing dreams if I can't do it myself? And again, I told you, I have to remind myself of this all the time, because I'm always looking ahead. I always want to make sure that I'm moving forward. But that night I closed down the book, and I went and had an amazing time. And if you don't know James Forrester, he's been a big help in my life. Listen, James has been there to guide me and counsel me. I can't tell you how many times. So it was actually a pleasure and an honor to step in there and step in for him whenever he needed help. And it just rang so true to me that night that there are things that we're looking ahead to, and those are good things, and they always will be good things. But those things that we're pursuing, all those big dreams that we're pursuing, they come with promises too. The things that we're looking ahead and saying we want to get that promotion, or we want to make sure that we start that new venture, or we want to do something new, all those things, they also come with promises. But if we never learn as we steer ourselves to fulfill those promises before we go to the next dream, then we'll always just be like a cloud with no rain. We'll always be somebody yapping around talking about what could happen, but then when it comes down to it, all those things that we dream and wish would happen, they never actually get done. Because if we can't learn to fulfill the promises always that come with a dream, if you have a big dream, all the dreams that we have about those next things, they come with making some promises, to filling some actions, not just talk. So if we can do that, if we can learn to fulfill those promises before we dream dreams, then even when we're in the middle of pursuing a promotion, we never lag behind in our current role. Our current role always stays on track. We're always doing the things that we need to do. And that's again, think about this. When you're looking for a promotion, but you lag back in the job that you're doing because you're thinking about the next job, does that help you get the promotion or hurt you from getting the promotion? Of course it does. And so what we need to focus on in that moment is, yes, I want to continue to dream the dream. I can look at you a little better because I'm stopped. Yes, I can continue to dream the dream, but right now I have to fulfill the promises that I've made to these clients and these customers, because if I don't fulfill these promises that I've already made, what makes me think I'm going to fulfill the next one? What makes me think this new dream is going to be where I really come through for people? that would be an illusion to think so. If I'm thinking about, hey, right now, here's where my focus is. This is the work that I'm doing right now. But really in my heart, I have a dream and a passion to make sure that, we start this new business or start a new venture. That's what I really, really want to do. See, if I do that, I'm confusing myself, if I think that I would go in that new role, I'd be able to really, meet needs. But today, right now, where I'm still at today, I can't do that. I can't make that transition today. I can't make sure that I fulfill the promises that I made. If I never learn to fulfill the promises that I've made today, then I'll never be able to pursue the dreams that I want for tomorrow. It's just so practical. So if we can do that today, honestly, it'd be working differently. It'd be working differently than most, because you would be someone who is always there. You're always looking to meet that need that you promised to fulfill. If you promise to service, with insurance, I've said this a lot. We marry our customers. After I sell a policy, now I become married to that customer. And so anything they need service-wise, they call me. If I think that I can, sell a lot of policies in the future, but I don't fulfill the promises that I've made to those people that I already sold a policy to, how can I think I can ever be successful long term? I cannot. There's no way. If I don't learn to fulfill promises today before I pursue dreams, again, I'll always be like just somebody making a lot of racket, but I'll never be somebody who comes through on the things that I promised to do. So that is one of the core principles of Last to Least. That will help us today, right now. That will help me today. This reminder will help me today to really meet needs before I worry about profits and incentives that come back to me, before I worry about dreams, and I actually go in today and I do the things that I've already promised to do. Because there's a lot of areas in our lives, again, we have made these promises. I have said, I'm going to show up here. If you need me, you can count on me here. If I don't do that, I'm wasting time when I think about the dreams. So let's pursue the dreams like crazy. Let's pursue them actually more fearlessly than anybody else. And let's do it because we have the integrity to know that when we pursue those dreams, we're going to fulfill the promises that come along with them. Because how do we know? Because we're doing it right this minute. Our actions absolutely follow our beliefs. What we believe is going to determine the way we decide. And the way we decide is going to determine the way we act. And we are going to start tomorrow talking about how to decide differently. I've been waiting for this for a while. I love this. I love how to decide differently. It's very surprising, but I can't wait to share it with you. Look, if there's some promises that you're fulfilling right now, or there's some dreams that you're pursuing, drop them in the comments. Let's learn from each other. Thank you for listening. Hands-free drive to